What's going on, guys? This is Eddie, the African Red Pill. Welcome to the video. In today's video, we're talking about simps. Let's talk about simps. What is a simp? A simp is a silly and a foolish man. In short, a simp is a man who literally can't get women. But the fact that they can't get women, they become stupid and foolish by becoming desperate and foolish. So when they become desperate and foolish, they try to get the attention of a woman. By doing this, do you know what they do? They do what is called white knighting, where like they want to be a savior of a woman. More especially a woman who is not into them. They always do whatever that woman wants them to do. They always be living a life of pleasing women. That is called a simp. Let's get into the video and check out an example of a flipping simp.
And I would have died for you. So what am I supposed to do?
He's the guy who would give up anything for love, even his own self-worth. The simp, defined as a lovelorn and overly attentive guy, is someone that no one wants to be.
This could easily be the single most horrific night of my life. I'm a simp.
Yet by taking a closer look at how the simp approaches love, we can unpack some warnings about our own relationships, as well as some advice. Simply put, the simp will do anything for the girl he's romantically interested in, even if it costs him his dignity.
Think about it.
The simp shares certain similarities with the nice guy, who expects romance for, well, being nice.
I just don't want to release.
Well, you're not the only one that gets to say in this. I do too. And I say we're a couple. God damn it.
But the simp is far more submissive. Even if his love goes unrequited, he remains fully dedicated to fulfilling the woman's desires.
You know how you always wanted a Barbie dream house?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I decided to make you your own Jenna dream house.
Historically, the simp has been viewed as slightly pathetic.
All I've ever wanted was to serve you.
As explained by rapper Too Short, who helped popularize simp in the 80s and 90s, it's like the opposite of the pimp. It really degrades the person who you're aiming it at.
Another week with that simp, I'll kill myself.
Still, the simp has become such a recognizable figure because he represents the uncertainty about the line between romantic selflessness and healthy self-respect, something we can all relate to sometimes.
And I realize I'm not half good enough, and I'm not this great man.
Here's our take on how the simp might be setting himself up for failure and what we can learn from his positive qualities so that we can all be better at love, whether it's returned or not.
She's shown no interest. She's way into someone else. Why give up now? This is the right move.
The word simp is wielded as an insult against someone who's seen as humiliating himself for female attention, something he's willing to do because he puts himself so far beneath his love interest.
You're this smart, talented, perfect creature. I'm just sweaty schlub in a bear costume.
Most of the time, the simp puts women on a pedestal because to him they already seem out of reach.
It was Sadie Hawkins, so girl's choice.
What, nobody picked you?
It was girl's choice.
And he attempts to compensate for this by worshipping them, offering tributes that seem romantic in theory, but in execution come off as embarrassing. The simp is a big believer in the grand romantic gesture, the public display of affection that puts the burden on the woman to respond, even when that affection is unwanted.
I heard you let a little friend of mine
take off your party dress.
And he might be too busy putting on a show to realize he's coming off a little strong. He's usually willing to do so much for her that it might seem impossible for her to return it, even if she wanted to. His whole approach to romance is about showering his crush with affection rather than treating her like a person. In fact, the simp may not even need reciprocation or encouragement from his love interest. He knows how he feels about her, and to him, that's all that really matters.
And I'd like to marry her.
Well, does Andy know how you feel about this?
Oh, no confirmation on that just yet.
The simp's understanding of relationships is so misguided, he'll dedicate years of effort and fantasies to a future that was never going to exist, and be crushed when it doesn't pan out.
I gave up billiards, I gave up everything you didn't like, I'm happy I did, it's fine, and I waited, and I never complained, because I figured you loved me, Joe.
What the simp often doesn't realize is that his skewed view of romance leaves him destined for disappointment. He idolizes women to the point that if he does finally end up in a relationship with someone, it's likely to be unbalanced, and he may accept far less than anyone deserves.
Look, Emma, I know a relationship hasn't been perfect. You won't ride in my car, I can't touch you above the wrist, but I think about you all day long.
On screen, being a hopeless romantic often works out for a lot of other guys, so what makes the simp different? Most obviously, whether a man's elaborate shows of affection render him a simp or a stud depends entirely on how they are received.
If both people are into each other, a big romantic gesture works. But if one person isn't into the other, the same gesture comes off serial killer crazy.
Some of our most beloved male rom-com leads are guilty of certified simp behavior, yet we still see them as heroic or charming because that's how their romantic interest sees them. We can see an illustration of how fine the line is on Friends, where Ross's pining for Rachel initially makes him out to be a pretty big simp.
That's because you're such a sweet, gentle...
But Ross changes his fate.
It's always been you, Rach.
Meanwhile, Gunther is a mirror version of Ross if he'd never managed to break out of the simp zone. He allows his crush on Rachel to exist only in his mind, where it intensifies into over-the-top fantasy.
I was wondering if you'd like to go to a movie with me sometime. As my lover. Too out there.
Gunther could conceivably have had a shot with Rachel if he went for it.
I mean, look, Gunther. I mean, he's nice, he's cute.
Yeah. But he confesses only after such an absurd amount of time that her reaction is something between bewilderment and pity.
I just have to tell you. I love you.
I love you too. Probably not in the same way.
Another example can be found on The Office, where Jim simps for Pam while she's engaged to Roy, keeping his true feelings hidden. But then Jim takes a risk and tells Pam exactly how he feels about her, and is a simp no more.
I'm in love with you.
What?
I'm really sorry if that's weird for you to hear, but I need you to hear it.
At the same time, Toby harbors his own secret crush on Pam, yet rather than being direct about it, he attempts to show her through gestures that are too easily misinterpreted or overlooked.
Hey, where have you been all night? I was looking forward to hanging out with you.
Tragically for Toby, we learn that Pam might have even been receptive if he'd only given himself a chance.
Don't tell him I said this, but I always thought he was kind of cute.
In the simp's defense, we've been conditioned to see painfully unrequited love as intensely romantic. Because the simp romanticizes that kind of desperate longing, he also sees his suffering as a critical part of love, something he has to endure to be worthy of getting it in return.
I was waiting outside in the rain for you, because I thought you would come out and be like, oh, he's all wet, that's so romantic. But you didn't.
But carrying a torch for someone isn't the same as caring for them.
I can't feel that. It's really sweet and everything, but you can't just sit there and put everybody's lives ahead of yours and think that counts as love.
Often it's hardly even about them. The simp indulges in these obsessions as a way of fantasizing about what he wants for himself, namely to be loved and appreciated.
So funny, aren't they?
You know, I do stand-up comedy.
And he sets himself up for disappointment by ignoring not only his love interest's feelings, but her flaws, and devoting himself to an idea of love that's really about the longing to change his own life.
He talked a lot about the past, as if he wanted to recover something, some vision of himself that he had put into loving Daisy.
Recognizing that she's a person and not an ideal is the only shot the simp has at ever getting closer to her and his own happiness.
She's not just a fantasy. She's got, like, flaws. She's real.
Have you seen this idiot? This idiot was dumped by his girl, but because he had what is called winitis. Winitis is simply a man who's got that girl he can't move on from. So this fool had what is called winitis. Despite a girl who broke up with him went on a whole rampage. She sucked every DICK she could out there. When she was done doing all that, when she was tired of the whole rampage, when she was done of the whole phrase, she got pregnant by a black man. When she was done with that, what does she do? She hit back that guy because she knows that that guy is what is called a safety net. A safety net is that guy who's always a backup plan for a girl when she's done with her crap, or maybe when she can't get a guy she wants, or when she's done with the whole phase. There's always that backup plan she will hit up. That's what happened with this fool over here. In short, he's a simp, and then he's what is called a cackhod. A cackhod is a guy who, in most cases, enjoys watching his woman getting effed by another man. So a cack is also a guy who raises another man's baby. Of course, there are always exceptions where, like, a guy will take over a household of a single baby mama, but not a pregnant baby mama. I don't even want to talk about those exceptions. You take over, give a chance to a pregnant baby mama. You give a chance to a pregnant lady. That's cuckoldry, man. You're a cuck and you're a simp. And simps shouldn't be tolerated. Simps. What is the problem with men these days? We've got a lot of weak men these days. Men have been emasculated. And in this video we're promoting of this guy who took over his ex despite her being pregnant. Even after giving birth to a black baby, he was still with that lady. I don't know, man. Check out in the animal kingdom. If a lion takes over a pride, you know what a lion does when it takes over a pride. I don't want to go into it because you fuckers out there who likes judging people would judge me and take me out of context. But if you are somebody who's in depth with your knowledge, you know what I'm talking about. So this thing of emasculating men, it's all over. It's in movies, it's in our society. Check out most of the movies, even movies I love. One of my most favorite series, despite me not liking movies which has to involve guys who do each other, like Modern Family. I like that show. If you check out the relationships in Modern Family or the marriages in Modern Family, you see that few has got a wife who's masculine, and him is a dumbass. You've seen Phil. Acts like a dummy. Check out the father to Phil, who's got a gay son. Despite him being successful, he's got this masculine lady who controls him. Check out Family Guy. Family Guy. Peter is a dumbass husband whose wife is masculine and she controls the marriage or the whatever. Check out The Simpsons. Check out South Park. Almost all those couples, you find that the wife is the one with the sound mind. The man is a fucking dumbass. That's where we're at right now. Sorry for my French, but this upsets me when you start emasculating men. It's the same thing. They are trying to push this thing of Sims. Check out like most of these youngsters whose jobs is to play video games online. Most of them don't know about the real world out there. Such that when they hear a message like mine right now, they will label me all sorts of names. They call me a woman hater, a misogynist, whatever that shit is. They will label me all sorts of names. Just because I'm spreading the truth, and these youngsters have grown up in their house such that they don't know what happens in the real world. They only see the real world on movies or in games and the people they interact with, such that they even do what is called e-sex. Like, what the heck is e-sex, man? What the fuck is e-sex? This is the world we're living in right now. So if you raise men like that, they end up becoming simps. Why do you think OnlyFans is $1 billion industry right now? It's because of these men who don't know the real world out there. They're spending for porn. Porn is free on the internet, but why are these men spending for porn? It's because they don't know the real world out there. Simps have to be condemned, man. Because the thing is, all these women on OnlyFans, all these simps, these men who are simps, they can never get those women. Even if those women are average in the real world, they can never get them. Because even an average woman wants to be with a man who's a man. Any type of woman doesn't want to be with a man who's like a woman. Unless that woman maybe plays for the same side. Of which, if she plays for the same side, she'll go for a fellow person with a vagina. These men who are simps and are feminine, they can't get a woman in the real world. And once reality kicks in, do you know what they do? Most of them write a manifesto and go on a shooting rampage. They go to a school to do some school shooting, which is absurd. This is a war on masculinity, and America and the West, America and its allies are the countries which have been targeted on this war, because they know, the enemies know that if they go toe to toe with America in a real war, they can never win. So what do they do? And they infiltrate America from a young age. They brainwash the kids, they indoctrinate them, and then these kids turn out to be soy boys. We've got a lot of soy boys, such that America right now is failing to recruit people in the army, in the air force, and all over, because they've got no men, or they've got no people to recruit, because most of them have grown up to be soy boys. Meaning the enemies to America are winning this war. Not until they wake up will they win this war. But as it looks like, it's like the enemies are winning. So if you see a nation full of simps, when these enemies of America win that war, when they know that, okay, we'll finally win this war, they will be ready to launch an attack now military-wise, because when they launch an attack military-wise, there will be nobody to stand against them, because most men have been feminized and they are weak. Instead of fighting, they'll be running away. Instead of being men, they've become feminine. They no longer have that vicious nature in them, so they can't stand up against their enemies. Hence, we've got a lot of simps, like the guy we saw in this video. This is where I'm gonna end my video. Click like, comment on the topic, subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.